If you're like me and you're used to running every single day, when you suddenly take that away, then yes, it is going to have an effect on your mental health. There we go, look at that. The classic avocado, poached eggs, a little bit of Cajun spice on top. So yeah, I've been a little bit quiet here on YouTube and on Strava, Instagram over the last few days because I actually picked up a calf injury now, I think 5 or 6 days ago. So today is actually day 5 of no running for me, which is, yeah, unheard of really, unless I pick up a little injury or niggle like I have. So I had the cross country last Saturday when I came 8th, and I've just recently found out that I got selected for the Essex team to go to Intercounties in March, which I'm really happy with. But during that 10k cross country race, there were some real boggy parts, and unfortunately I think I just sprained my, I think it's the soleus muscle in the calf. It's sort of at the top of my Achilles where my Achilles tendon meets the calf muscle. I've had a little bit of issues with that area before, actually after running in snow, I think last year. So yeah, I recognised the signs that there's a little bit of a sprain there in the calf area. So I've taken a few days off training. So today I thought I would share with you how I've been dealing with that calf injury, and yeah, my 5-step process on how I recover from little injuries, niggles that you pick up along the way as a runner. Okay, so when I thought about making this video about dealing with injury as a runner, I sort of made some notes on my phone, which I've got here, and it's I've sort of broken it down into 5 steps that I take in order to recover from my injury, to hopefully get back running as quickly as possible. So hopefully you find some value in it. The first step for me on my recovery process is acceptance. So accepting that you have an injury, that you can't run, that you can't go out and log the usual miles that you usually would. You can't go to your sessions, and you've basically got to take some time off of running, which for me is probably one of the hardest parts of dealing with an injury. It's definitely something that I've struggled with in the past. When I've had sort of a niggle in the past, I've just ignored it, and then it's then developed into a much worse injury along the line, and then I've had to take maybe 3 or 4 weeks off training. But having dealt with a few injuries throughout my sort of journey as a runner, I know that now that when niggles occur, it's time to accept that you can't run, and it's time to sort of take some time off before those injuries get any worse, which is what I've done this time. And thankfully over the last 5 days my pain level has decreased. Yesterday I had my first sort of pain-free day in the calf area, so yeah, hopefully it's going to be a quick recovery this time, thanks to these sort of steps that I've learned along the way. So yeah, I just wanted to touch quickly on the mental health side of running. When I get an injury, I know my mental health takes a toll. I can get grumpy, angry, sad. My girlfriend can sort of see this in me. As soon as I have sort of an injury, she can tell that something is not quite right. It's important to remember that as runners we all have a mental health, and yeah, injury can have a toll on that for sure. But hopefully the next few steps will help allow you to keep training to some degree, and yeah, maintain that and maintain those endorphins that you get from your exercise, which moves on to step 2 for me, which is rest, ice and heat. I personally prefer to use warm heat treatment, so a hot water bottle on the affected area is my go-to. So I actually take a hot water bottle up to bed with me, and then throughout the night I've got my injured area on heat. I just find it's a lot less inconvenient than using, say, an ice bath. Ice bath for me, I absolutely hate them. I've tried them before, but I can't stay in the bath long enough really to see the benefits because I'm a bit of a wimp. And within this rest and recovery period, I'm also doing some stretching and trying to find out how painful the area is and see what I can and can't do. which moves on to the next step, which is step 3, which I'll talk about on my way to the gym. Yeah, another day on the elliptical, which will be day 5 for me. Hopefully today will be the last day and I can resume some running over the weekend. But yeah, moving on to step 3 on the way to the gym. So I'm just on my way to the gym, which brings me on to step 3, which is to focus more on what I can do rather than what I can't do. So for me, I've been able to continue stretching. After the injury occurred, so I went to the gym on the next day to basically find out what I could do in terms of cross training. So I jumped on the elliptical and yeah, did 45 minutes easy on the elliptical, found that the calf wasn't being irritated at all. So I knew moving forward that I could basically transfer all my training from running to the cross trainer. So I've done 2 sessions this week, so 2 hard efforts on the elliptical. One was 20 times a minute, which sort of replicates the 20 times 400 meters track workout that I had on Tuesday. And yesterday, which was Thursday, I did more of a tempo effort. I did 3 times 10 minutes with a minute 30 recovery. I was recently listening to an interview with Phil Sessman, who, if you're not familiar with him, he was the fastest Brit at this year's London Marathon. He basically said if you continue to stress the body, you'll over time lead to adaptation, which I thought was interesting. But he also said that your heart has no idea that your mates ran faster splits. So for him, he's saying consistency in your training, continue to stress that heart, to build that cardiovascular system up over time will make you a fitter, faster runner. And it doesn't really matter how fast you run or the means in which you go to cause that stress on the heart. So for me, over the last few days, I've not been able to train to run, but I've still been able to jump on the elliptical and to basically stress my heart in order to maintain the fitness and hopefully not lose any of my running speed when I eventually can go back to running. Okay, so I just arrived at the gym, which takes me on to step 4, which is patience. So today is day 5 in my sort of recovery from this calf strain. I will just say it was quite a minor calf strain. I feel like I've caught this injury as a niggle before it developed into a full-blown injury and I had to have weeks off. So this may take a lot longer for some people to get back to running. But yeah, my tip number 4 is to stay patient. So I'm going to go into the gym today and do 45 minutes on the elliptical, and then I'm actually going to do a 2-kilometer run, which will be my first run in this 5-day period of recovery. And if I'm totally honest with you, I probably could have run on this calf maybe 2 or 3 days ago, but I've stayed patient. My sort of rule when it comes to recovering from an injury is to have at least 2 days of completely pain-free running before I even consider getting back onto the treadmill or out for a run again. So that's what's happened with me. I've been patient. I've had a few days of no pain whatsoever in that calf area. So I'm gonna do one final cross-training session to form the main bulk of my training today, and then I'm gonna do a 2-kilometer sort of test run to hopefully see if the pain is completely gone, and then I can look at building back my training in the next few weeks. So there we go, just finished in the gym. I did 45 minutes on the elliptical and then jumped on the treadmill for my first run since the calf sprain. So 2 kilometers of easy running. Felt zero pain there, so I'm over the moon. Hopefully I don't have any pain in there later on this afternoon, but I'll keep it monitored. But fingers crossed that'll be me back to training now, can get back running. Definitely working on the elliptical has taught me that yeah, you don't have to do all of your training in terms of getting faster and fitter on the treadmill or out on the run. I feel like the elliptical definitely can be a yeah, good component to add into my training in the future. So that's something that I've learned from this injury, which is pretty cool. I know Jake Smith, the GB runner, does a lot of cross training on a weekly basis, and I've also heard that Elliot Giles, who's like a British a GB athlete who went to the Olympics, I think, he does sort of 800, 1500 meters. He does all of his training on the elliptical apart from his running sessions. So he doesn't do any easy runs or anything like that on the road. He just does it on the cross trainer. So there's definitely something to take away there from this sort of period of injury. But yeah, that's my 5-step process. Step 5 is the return to running. Now, it's an important step to obviously get back to running, but you don't want to rush that, because if you do it too early, then you can then put yourself back all the way back to step 1 of accepting that you're injured again. So yeah, you don't want to rush that, hence why I just did 2 kilometers easy today. I could have done probably an hour running today, but I didn't want to risk it and didn't want to risk the setback. So yeah, that's my sort of 5-step process of how I sort of cope with an injury as a runner, how I promote my recovery. I do a lot of stretching, a lot of strength stuff. I've done primarily cross training for the last week, and yeah, I'm back running again. So perfect scenario there. Hopefully you've taken something away from this video. But yeah, until next time, aspire to run and run to inspire, and hopefully some running videos will be back with you in the next few days. Thank you very much.